Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the MI podcast. On the MI podcast, I've discussed various things of different social media. How do you optimize it? How do you create content for it? I think it's very fascinating that how content has gone over a period of time. Like say in India, only like in the last 10 years, with the data prices slashing, and then the because of that the content that can be consumed, right? Like so that is where not only these influencers but companies have really dialed down on their content marketing efforts. It's a complete landscape that has been created. You have content marketing professionals in house, you have major content marketing agencies. So basically I feel the what they do is that, I mean, you're creating content which connects with a particular TG. So TG could be related to your business, or an influencer which is in a particular niche, or in general, even let's say even entertainment or entertaining content. So you kind of have to have a focus within that kind of becomes your content marketing strategy. In terms of like me as a marketing professional, I've seen the journey, like when we guys started off with SEO, and today I would feel SEO is not discussed that much as content. Like you creating that content and getting that attention from the particular user. Like so how you use branded content, or it could be with an influencer, or a particular a series also be created. So it's very interesting. I feel content marketing is something which fascinates me, and it definitely must be fascinating a lot of you. So now when you look at LinkedIn per se, we have seen many, like professionals coming up on LinkedIn. So they are like coaches itself, like the importance of LinkedIn is paramount, I feel, because a following on LinkedIn, if you see, at least I would say is 10 times more, uh, you can say better than on Insta, in terms of like when you look at following, what is the following for? End of the day, obviously an influence and the monetization aspect. So the monetization aspect is the maximum on LinkedIn, because you are building your credibility with your content itself. People know that, okay, is something which, if a person is constantly kind of talking about and has a good command over, then they might be really good in that particular domain, whether it is your marketing or HR, finance, or any kind of thing content you are talking about. So on LinkedIn, there are many business coaches come up, and they look at, I would say majorly few things like lead generation for your particular company through your content. They could handle a profile of a top management professional in your company, and also their own maybe services wherein they are looking at through advertisements or the video content, like how do you kind of connect with your audience in general. So I think it'll be interesting discussion today on these various aspects of LinkedIn. Like how do you stand out? Like, to simplify, how do you stand out on LinkedIn? So today to discuss this, I have an upcoming a LinkedIn influencer who is doing pretty well on this platform, is getting a lot of traction, and she can maybe give us insights on the same. So I have with me Mudrika Kavdia. Hi Mudrika, how are you?
Hi, Nikhil. I'm well. Thanks for having me here.
Awesome, awesome. Mudrika, it's great having you. So, Mudrika, like, where are you joining us from?
I'm from Udaipur. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a short introduction about me. Uh,
Yes,
so
definitely.
I, so my journey has nothing been a short collection of stories, some planned, some unexpected, maybe, but all uniquely mine, I would say. So I did my schooling from St. Mary's, Udaipur, and until class 5, my mom was my driving force behind my academics, I would say. Because I would say thanks to her because I was the scholar in my early school, and after that, I became an average student until 12th. But there was one thing that always made me stand out was writing. And in fact, there's a day in my memory when I bagged three first prizes in English storytelling, English creative writing, English dictation in my class 11, and along with second prize in an English debate competition. So this all happened in one single day. So that was a day I still remember. It's a very special day in my life, and that was the
That's
moment I
right.
realized
So, Mudrika,
that
your the just in terms of the particular thing you're participating in. Sorry, I think maybe the audience didn't get that.
Okay, so there were competitions in school. Like
Hmm.
there was this competition for the particular age group from class 6 to class 12 for all the
Hmm.
people. And there was this particular dictation competition, English storytelling, in which we have to write. We were given suddenly our teacher came, and this was a surprise competition. Like they came and they announced ki if today is your storytelling competition. We all were given a piece of paper, then we had to write some story, and few days later the prizes were announced. So it was
Hmm.
totally a surprise. And
Hmm.
few of these competitions used to held in my school. So in that I bagged three first prizes all in English, which is
Hmm.
dictation, storytelling, and creative writing. My handwriting was also good, so that is creative writing. And
That's
and there
and
was
it was like something which like you were not like preparing for that. It was like a surprise,
yeah,
and then you just kind of whatever
hmm,
skill you have, whatever you just immediately
yeah,
execute
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That it was like that.
Yeah, it was like that. But there was this debate competition in which we had to prepare, of course. But in that as well, I got second prize. I prepared well. So all these prizes were announced on one particular day, and I was not expecting that I would get first prize in in a particular batch, like in 6th to 12th. I
Yeah.
received first from all these classes. So that was a big thing. And for me that time, then that time I realized that the power of words and how they could connect, inspire, and how they can make a lasting impression. So
Hmm.
that was my school
And plus,
journey.
your
And
also you discovered like you had it something in you, like wherein I'm good at this. So, which maybe was
hmm,
undiscovered, and then at that time you discovered it.
yeah. No, I did not discover that time, but I always thought ki I love English. I
Hmm.
Even the teacher, if we talk about the English, was the most interesting subject. So
Hmm.
so I always had the most of my interest in that. Although I was a commerce student, I did not like accounts much, but I always loved English and fine arts. Fine arts was my optional subject. So I'm an
Hmm.
artist as well. So I discovered later. My mom is also an artist, so maybe I got it from her. So these are the two things which I
So the
actually love
art
doing.
form that you practice is it paintings?
Yeah, it's paintings.
Okay, okay, awesome. So that was maybe something which you did in your free time, maybe even now you're pursuing it.
Yeah,
And interesting thing is like I think painting, like many people have interacted with who pursue it. They say like more is like a kind of a healing. Like when you do it, it's not like sometimes there are certain hobbies and all where taken a lot of mental stress in it also, right? Like but
yeah,
here it's kind of like there's another therapeutic, like for someone like cooking is therapeutic, and
yeah,
it could be the same kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah. For me, like colors are therapeutic. Whenever I'm stressed, even if I'm studying, so I would simply, in between my studies, I will simply like keep on doodling or scratching with pen and paper, even in my notes.
That's right.
So that is that is kind of
Yes, yes.
therapeutic for
That's
me.
a good thing actually, having I would feel like a productive, like I wouldn't say a pastime per se, but like something which you enjoy doing, which kind of de-stresses you. That is kind of
Hmm.
great because as we know, many people don't have very productive things that they do to distress. So
Hmm.
this is a kind of a good quality which kind of helps in a creative mind also to enhance
Hmm.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah, right, right. And then after school, I chose to pursue CA to fulfill my father's dreams. But as I said that I didn't love accounts, so under pressure and under his motivation and other people's thinking that yeah, I can do it, you can do it. Everybody used to say that
Mm,
in school, like teachers were like, कि, as I said, कि I had always been the average student, बट टीचर्स यूज्ड टू
mm,
से कि एक वो होता है ना कि ये पढ़ती नहीं है, इसमें दिमाग बहुत है, बस ये
mm.
पढ़ती नहीं है, शी कैन डू बेटर.
Yeah,
सो एट होम
that's it.
आल्सो इट वाज लाइक इट वाज लाइक दैट. तो so after 12 my parents forced me, not my parents, my father forced me to do CA. So I took CA, but deep down I knew that it wasn't my path. So I eventually quit, and then I shifted to ACCA. ACCA is a bit flexible, and I am a person
Mm,
loves enjoying who loves enjoying who loves to enjoy, like to do multiple things at a time, because I get
mm.
bored very easily. I cannot
That's
study
it.
for 16 hours in a go, so CA is not for me. So ACCA is
Mm,
also kind of CA, but it is a bit flexible. So I
mm.
thought ki with ACC I can do other things as well, like writing on LinkedIn or creating videos. So that is why I'm doing ACCA, and just for a professional degree. And along with that, I started writing on LinkedIn. And it's
That's
been
right.
7 months
So,
since I
Mudrika, like
started
about
writing.
the just thing about the ACCA, like to there might be some people who don't know exactly, what you do. Like CA, like okay, people, a CA is required when they do auditing of, the companies and accounts, and also in ACCA, what is the like exactly they are doing, and what's the business use of that?
Okay, so CA is just CA in India, and
Hmm.
ACCA is international CA. ACCA is
Okay.
basically UK CA. It's exactly similar to CA, but it's bit flexible. Like what a
Hmm.
CA does in India, you can do the same thing in ACCA. For example,
Hmm.
you can practice finance, audit. The knowledge is same. Accounts you can practice,
Hmm.
you can do everything just like a CA does, but it's
Hmm.
global course, and it's
Hmm.
applicable in more than 186 plus countries. So I think
Hmm.
so. It has a wider scope than CA, and CA is limited to India. The main
Hmm.
difference is the taxes of UK. We are studying the UK tax, and in
Hmm.
CA we study the Indian tax. And apart from that, in CA there is this pressure that you have to go with the 8 papers at a time. You have to give two
Hmm.
groups together. But ACC is
Hmm.
flexible in a way that you can give a single paper at a time. And there are
Hmm.
four attempts in a year. So you get 4 chances. So that is also another good thing about ACCA. In CA you get 2 attempts in a year. So so
Hmm.
I think so. ACCA can be done, and ACCA can be done after 10th, just after 10th. Anybody
Hmm.
can roll into it. So it gets over if you are consistent at it, so you can easily complete it in 13 to 16 months. That
That's
is
right.
ACCA.
Yeah, I think it seems also like a better option for people like in terms of like more of a global perspective of that, and then the opportunities maybe. So I don't know. So
Yeah,
yeah, so that is something maybe that you felt it suited you more, and then you are kind of
yeah,
pursuing that. Awesome, awesome.
yeah,
So obviously, then I think what happens? Am I right to say like during this thing is like it's like you are preparing for exams per se. So it's like it gives giving you still a lot of time in terms of where you can pursue other things. So it's not like you what happens in like a full
mm,
time course that
mm,
maybe you have to go
mm,
attend lectures and
mm,
then practicals and
mm,
then various other things you have to do.
mm.
So here that's not the case. So you're getting time to do other things and that way. Is it right to say that?
Yeah, exactly. Like if
Mm,
when I was doing CA, I remember uh, neither I used to study. Like my inter attempt
mm,
was in the COVID time. I cleared my CA foundation in the first attempt, but when I came into inter, it was COVID came in. So the
mm,
classes shifted to online, and I did not used to study. I in my first attempt I never studied. I still remember.
Mm,
So the thing is ki you have the pressure in mind ki you have to study, but then
mm,
neither you do something else nor you are studying. So that was the worst thing in
mm.
in the course. Here I have the flexibility that okay, if I'm studying, I'm studying, and I have the time to go out to attend events, to work on LinkedIn and something else. So
That's it.
even if I want to paint, I have the time. I would not have to think that key. I have to study a lot like that.
That's right. That's right. That kind of pressure is not there.
Flexibility.
And I feel, yeah,
Hmm.
also now, like, like in terms of the work economy or like way gig economy, also they say like today you it's a little bit one dimension. Like you should have some additional skill maybe, or some other, like a revenue stream, where you have other things also going on apart from your maybe the job
Hmm.
that you do, like if you're doing a full-time job,
Hmm.
because that I feel, there are two things. Obviously it'll give you more opportunities to, maybe monetize it later, because you can, it's like
Hmm.
building, like it's like if say you are influencing on LinkedIn, it's not going to happen quickly unless you're very lucky in terms of where it is monetized. So over a period of time you go, you learn so many things, and then
Hmm.
you can look at monetizing it. And then secondly also the, let's say, an influence or the trust that is there, like the things, like for example the business coaches also, the more webinars or classes or interactions that they have, that just adds on to, like your CV or resume, or that thing that, creates that personal branding for you, right? Like, so you can kind of get better opportunities going forward. So yeah, so this is what we are moving into. And the key within this, I would say, is like you look at multitasking, planning out your day. Like for example, like me also, like if I'm doing a full-time thing, and if they're doing the podcast, there are various things, within the podcast. You have to connect with people on social media, identify, have an interaction with them, design it, and then after that also maybe editing. And also a lot of time you have to take out from, maybe your schedule. So that is all planning, and it is possible, like for these young professionals to do, and you should do. It'll take an extra effort, but then there are, like, let's say, let us motivate ourselves with a lot of successful people out there who have then done a lot of things and then monetize maybe the hobby. So yeah, that is kind of a important thing. So Mudrika, in terms of, let's say, your, like, if you look at your services that you're giving, like any, can you give me a breakup of that? Like if there is a prospective client, like what are the specific services that you are providing to them?
Okay. So after I started writing on LinkedIn, I realized that I'm building my personal brand, and
Hmm.
I saw people doing that already. So
Hmm.
like I did not know that there's a thing called personal branding till then, but
Hmm.
eventually, while doing it myself, while I was writing, so I realized that okay, there's this service called personal branding, and this is how you build your brand on LinkedIn. This is how you
Hmm.
do it. So we, eventually, I did not reach out to anyone, but people
Hmm.
reached out to me. One, two
Hmm.
people reached out ki, that we want to build our brand on LinkedIn. So can you do it? So I was like, then I searched about it, like how to do it and all, and then I
That's
got
right.
to know the insights about personal branding. And branding is like you have to
That's a
there are
wonderful thing where you are doing something, and it is, over a period of time you are consistent, and then it connects with an audience on a more of a larger scale. And then somewhere people only inquire, so you're good at something, like say your content on LinkedIn, and then people directly inquired only, like, okay, can you help us with this in terms of like a consultancy or whatever. So it is a wonderful thing where it's where you are good, and then people directly, it's like they say na, that make yourself a garden and then the butterflies will come in. Like you don't have to look for that thing, like people are gonna
Mm,
come
Hmm.
towards you. That's a great thing. That is the magic I would feel of the content creation that we are talking about, especially on LinkedIn.
Hmm. Right. So like that, I got my first client, and
Mm,
then I realized. Then I asked, consulted people in the field already, that how do you do
mm,
it, and how much do you charge, and about everything. Then I got my first client, and the first thing about personal branding is to you can, if you want to optimize your LinkedIn profile, the first step is the to build to choose a profile picture which is very zoomed in and clear. So the
mm.
profile picture is zoomed in matters a lot. It shows that
Mm.
you are visible, clearly visible, and then
Yeah.
matters. Then the second thing which comes into the picture is your banner. It should be clear
Mm,
and properly. The SEO words should be there, like what you do exactly.
mm.
So your LinkedIn banner
That's
represents you. The first two things what people about notice about your LinkedIn profile is your profile picture and your banner. Then comes your about section. So where you
that's
can
right.
write about
I
what
think
you so
also the headline. So like when I'm like constantly on LinkedIn,
yeah, I'm talking about
in
that already. Yeah,
that is the
headline and
headline
about.
area, right? Yeah, that's right.
About
That's
and
right.
headline. Yeah. So about
That's
and
right. And
headline matters
yeah, sure.
the most. There you have to specifically mention the keywords about your thing which you do.
Hmm.
So the it should not be like over exaggerated, or it should not be very much very much wordy or gaudy, but
Hmm.
you should keep it simple. It should be readable, and the words should
That's
be
right.
minimal, because people don't like it very much people don't like it, like I'm
That's
not
right.
getting
It
that
there
word.
also, Mudrika, I think it's about standing out. So what happens now if something is also repeated and overdone, then people
Hmm,
look over it. Like you must be noticing that 0 to 10 lakh you earn, and that is in the headline, and then that so many people are using that. So it's
hmm,
kind of losing it. Like at least for me, when I look at it, it's like
hmm,
some other kind of figure where it seems realistic and it's in a little bit different, not like just income related. So
hmm.
there I feel okay, you get some this thing, but then you this I feel it's like a little bit kind of now overdone,
Yeah,
and people are using it. And even I've interacted with some people, like in the first interaction it's like an elevator pitch. They push into that, I did this for the like my income increase and all these things. So which is not like, it's that end of the day, see, that's your income. Like what am I going to, like, you have to talk about the company's problem and how you solved it, and like maybe a revenue angle in that. So that's some my take on that. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So that looks very overdone, exactly.
yeah,
I was
that's
not
right.
getting this word.
Yeah.
So that matters a lot. Then comes your about and bio. Again, that should not be overdone. It should be crystal clear, and it should not begin many people write in the third person, that
Mm,
uh she, like I'm writing my bio, but I'm writing it in the third person. She is Mudrika, she is doing this. So that is not at all uh, valuable, and that
recommended.
is to show your authenticity, of course.
Mm,
So you should always write your bio in the first person.
mm,
Then in paragraphs it should be clear and readable and understandable. Like even if a fifth standard student is reading it, it should be
mm,
understandable in simple
mm,
English, conversational, I would say. Then of course you should feature your then what I do for my clients is that I feature their websites or whatever work they're doing. That is what I do. Then I post pictures. Then my most main focus is on content, of course, content
mm,
writing. Content writing and the visuals. Visuals matter a lot on LinkedIn as well. So I focus on visuals, and the skills and achievements section should also be well described. So that is how you optimize your profile. And if you are doing all these things regularly and consistently, you eventually get noticed by everyone. So consistency plays a crucial role.
that's right. Awesome. So Mudrika, let's cut to the chase in terms of LinkedIn, we look at like how you have to maybe structure your content or design, and look at like a storytelling angle, because today people switch off if if they see anything which is like salesy, or like just pushing your own agenda on it. It has to be weaved into a story very intricately, and then you have to communicate whether it is a series based thing, or you're talking about a certain trend, or your opinion on certain things. There has to be a structure. So that is you look at telling a particular story. So within that, if you could shed some light, that will be great for the audience.
Okay. So I think so storytelling isn't just nice to be have a professional content or just on LinkedIn. I think so it should be in every content. It's the backbone of every content, I feel. Because
Mm,
storytelling taps into the core of our emotions, and it creates connections, and which
mm,
are which are far more impactful than just dry paragraphs or dry facts or cold bullet points.
mm,
So I think so. You must have heard that saying as well, that people people don't remember people don't remember what you tell them, but people remember how you made them feel. So that is the impact
yes.
of storytelling, and storytelling makes people feel. It makes people connect, especially on LinkedIn. If we talk about where most content is already professional and I would say polished, but if we add stories to our content, it would build
Mm,
uh, genuinity, and because they are human and relatable. So I think so
mm,
they give your audience a reason to care about your message, whether you are sharing
mm,
any career advice, a tip, any industry insight, or even a personal growth. So stories make
mm,
them stand out. And if we talk about what makes storytelling relatable on LinkedIn, and then that is authenticity, because
mm,
sharing personal experiences often resonates more than, I think so, more than the corporate jargons or
mm,
some polished content or narrative. So, for example, I would say instead of I did this in my LinkedIn profile. Instead of vaguely mentioning that I face challenges as a freelancer, I simply shared a specific story about how I spent uh, doubting myself before starting with any content on LinkedIn, and before
mm,
starting with my own freelancing journey. Because I was a
mm,
student, I'm a student, and I'm a freelancer as well. So that turned into a particular story, and that post
mm,
struck a chord with others who had the experience in the same insecurity. So I think
mm,
so. It was the rawness of my experience that connected with people. And there is
mm.
this really underrated but powerful storytelling technique, which is emotion, which I already mentioned. Like, talk about your fears, your wins, and the lessons you have
So in
learned.
your case also, I would say here it was something you went through, and you kind of um, talked about that. Then like sometimes people just focus on the problem. Okay, so these are the problems in freelancing, and this is how I. So if you tell an experience there specifically,
Hmm.
and then after that you look at maybe point wise takeaways. Many people frame their post like that, so that has a higher impact and a staying power. Like, okay, person will kind of go through the same, because I feel like some one mistake also people do is like that negative aspect when it starts off. Like, it could be a trigger to you posting, but then when that first thing comes out, like a little bit, I feel you lose a lot of your viewers, or maybe like that is not the right approach per se, within that. So I think this is a kind of a good example you've shared. So within that, like in that post that you did, Mudrika, so like there a lot of like comments and all also that you got.
Yeah, yeah. Now,
Okay,
whenever
okay.
I share my, most of the time, whenever I share any
Mm,
post on LinkedIn, I
mm,
try to indulge my personal story or my experience, and it
Hmm.
definitely gets more views than a normal post or a fact post.
That's
So
right. And it is also driving engagement per se, like the okay, okay, awesome. Yeah, that
mm,
also makes sense within that.
yeah.
Um, so I think little bit let's look at some takeaways, Mudrika, for an audience. So like if you look at storytelling, so one example like you gave was the your experience that you had, and then maybe some takeaways that you give to the audience based on that experience. So any other forms of storytelling you look at, like one example I can give is that a lot of, I mean, companies use it, or even influencers, where you are series based content. So like this is my three techniques to get work as a freelancer, for example. So that there'll be one post, a second, third post, like that, a series based and very specific. So any other kind of like you can look at.
Yeah. So let's talk about, if we talk about trending content, if I
Hmm.
talk about that, even I
Hmm.
will add, not I won't add my story, but I can add my personal opinion or a view. So that drives more
A
engagement.
take into,
And
yeah, your take, yeah.
yeah, for example, so my recent post on Zomato Swiggy, which went viral. So
Hmm.
in that post as well, I posted that picture, and I posted my personal opinion on what I think about
Hmm.
the Zomato Swiggy move on that.
Hmm.
So that thing again gains engagement and more relatability, and also it shows
Hmm.
authenticity as well, that you are putting
Hmm.
your views, because people have already seen that post and people have already seen that content everywhere.
Yeah,
But when you put
that's
your
right.
thoughts out, so that matters a lot, and that makes a difference ki what is your opinion. So that's
Hmm.
what people want to know. Of course, if
Yeah,
we
yeah.
if we see on a random basis as well, ki like recent case, if we talk about Atul Subhash's case, some people are posting that influencers out there are not posting about it. So is it about men?
Hmm.
Just because he is a man, so some female
Hmm.
influencers are posting about it. But otherwise, they'll
Hmm.
post about everything. So that is also like,
Hmm.
people want to know your opinion. People want influencers and creators' opinion, what they think about
Hmm.
this current going trend, or some news. So opinion matters.
That's right. Yeah, that is one, I feel, aspect which is like the influencers today, like some of them, it's commendable. Like they don't take a side, like they are always like looking at in terms of what is the truth about it, like getting into
Hmm.
that. So it's not like you see in the content that they are taking a side, whether it is a man or woman or a political party or whatever. So they are
Hmm.
kind of balanced in that, like
Hmm.
within that. So that is a commendable. Like many influencers, they also posted and they have a valuable, and they did a but in such topics you have to do a good amount of research. Like if you are
Hmm.
really not prepared to get into that, because you cannot make a loose statements in such
Hmm.
sensitive issues, right? Like, so that is my thing. Like in these, if you would like to have a comment, do a good amount of research, and then kind of then give a very specific take of that. So like it shouldn't be, because then like also following trends can go wrong, or what is in the news or something like that. So you have to be very circumspect about that. So that's there. So
And another
yeah.
thing about story is that, uh, I can do is, like, if you're talking right now, so I can share
Hmm.
my experience, like my first podcast, or
Hmm.
if I ever I had this big stage fear. So I can
Hmm.
post about that, my first time on stage, and how did I overcome that fear. So you can put
Hmm.
stories based on your everyday experiences, life experiences. Even if you don't
Yeah,
have any specific experience, or um any
like a domain
specific
experience. Now they
story,
say
then you
sometimes ki
can.
you are very young, so maybe I don't have that expertise, but then it's this is just like maybe your take on it, or how you overcame that, or something, like in that space. It hasn't have to be something which is like expert backing and all, like
Hmm.
like for example, like even though you are in the LinkedIn creator, you are sharing personal stories about generally certain things, which help you improve as a person, basically.
Yeah, right.
That's right. That's right. Awesome. I think we'll go to a next point of discussion. So, when you look at, there are in content creation, like when we are learning, when content marketing, then they say, okay, you look at different kind of posts, like you content buckets, they call them. So, like, for example, so one is the trend driven, like whatever's in the trend, like we are talking about, what is going viral, or it is a major news point or a discussion point. And then you will have your evergreen post, like where you're just talking about a thing in general, like for example, how does a post become viral, for example. That's like an evergreen post, like because you're looking at
Mm.
a human aspect, like what attracts human to the post, and getting into that,
Mm.
won't really change the human instincts and all that. So
Yeah.
so how do you balance between the two? Firstly, you both have to be in your content, but then practically, how do you look at a balance in that?
Hmm. So I think so. I feel that trend-driven content grabs immediate attention because it is relevant and timely. It is happening in the
Yeah,
moment right now.
the
And
recall is there, and then it that attention you
yeah,
get. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it taps into people, like what people are already talking about. It's everywhere on the social media. And that makes a profile more visible immediately in the moment. So,
Hmm.
and on the other hand, if you talk about evergreen content, that lays the foundation for your credibility and it builds the trust over time. So, if,
Hmm.
I would suggest that if you're just beginning with your LinkedIn journey or any content creation journey, you should focus on evergreen post initially because that will build trust over the time. And
Hmm.
then gradually, once you have established your trust in a place, then
Hmm.
you should focus on you should have a balance of both the contents. Like personally, my go-to strategy is 70-30. 70% of my content is evergreen and 30% is trend driven. So evergreen posts are like timeless and it focus on topics that are always relevant to your to my audience. And for example, I can say how to stay consistent as a content creator, or maybe,
Hmm.
um, as you said, suggest best writing tips for LinkedIn. So that is kind
Yeah.
of evergreen content.
Evergreen.
Uh,
Yeah.
and these make you reliable and it builds your niche and it builds your
Hmm.
voice in your niche. And then comes the trending content, so that that brings the exciting energy to your
Yeah.
content. I think so. And uh, I always add humor as well in my content because humor and a little meme kind of structure makes my content more visible. I think so.
That's
So,
right. So
so
yeah, Mudrika, we'll come. I think to there's a part about the visibility also. We'll come to that. So, but in terms of like obviously like to the audience, it's very simplified. Like the trend driven content is to get more visibility. Like that is an if it's totally outside your content strategy, then it's difficult to get eyeballs, right? End of the day, you need that for practically running, if you're going to run a business of it, right? It's not like just
hmm,
a hobby.
hmm,
So
hmm,
you would
hmm,
need the 10 driven content. You have to like let's just say you have to dabble in that, and that 70-30 is a good one. Sometimes it also could be as much more than that, because there is more trends happening, right? Like which you want to be a
hmm,
part of. So it's
hmm,
like a month to month you have to take a call on this, but this is like a good kind of a breakup with Mudrika is given. So Madrika, we look at then the actionable, like what you were talking about, like the visibility, how you increase on LinkedIn, because you are someone where I feel it's very difficult on LinkedIn to scale followers, right? In Insta, there are various things we don't want to get into where will get a lot of followers, but like to get on LinkedIn where you have an audience, like if person who's working at that time maybe he wants some updates on his industry, something interesting in his workspace, right? Or in general which will affect his, whatever his work, what he's doing has an impact, and some kind of knowledge sharing or education is happening. So what would you say, like some just actionable tips for upcoming influencers?
I think so. Uh, on LinkedIn, engagement is your best friend initially. And by engagement, I mean that you should comment on other people's post, like simple genuine comment, thoughtful comment. If you are just beginning, then a simple thoughtful comment, like what do you like about that person's post. So that matters
Mm,
a lot. It's about interacting with others at the end of the day.
mm,
So thoughtful and meaningful comments on posts by people in your niche will also bring posts to your comments. It's two-sided always.
mm.
And uh, uh, and after
So,
some time,
Mudrika, but it actually gets you traffic. Like, say, if somebody is consistently commenting, like, say, like you are doing something specific, like, may 10 posts which are getting good traction in a day, you are seeing in your feed, and you're commenting, does that actually then you see that followers are coming in from that? Like, can we actually say that?
yeah, yeah, I feel engagement is the best thing to do on LinkedIn, because when you
That's,
engage on other people's posts, they actually see that you are present on LinkedIn and they visit to
mm,
your profile as well. So you get the traction and impression as well. So
mm,
engagement plays a crucial role, and there's something I would say from a Gen Z perspective, that I use always some relatable meme kind of content in my meme kind of content in my own content, and some pop culture references to make my post stand out. Say for
mm,
example, if I'm sharing a lesson about productivity or some trending meme, then I
mm,
will refer it with some trending meme, or and end it with some professional message. So that makes
mm,
the post more engaging, because everybody loves memes and everybody loves a little bit of humor. So that makes a
yeah.
difference. And again, it's all about, I think so, striking a balance of both engagement, humor, consistency, and all of that. And at the same time, you have to educate and entertain your audience. So that plays a crucial role. That is the approach I follow personally. So
Mm.
I follow the approach of engaging and ensuring that I add value to my content for the audience.
That's right. That's right. Mudrika, obviously, we covered about how to maybe get reach in the initial phases, but then through certain activities, like you talked about commenting and all that. So, when it comes solely to the content, we'll cover some aspect like how what goes in it, your content when you are designing, like what are the things you're looking at, and how do you like put up this same, how do you kind of break it up like to like a layman?
Okay. So, like a layman, I focus on sharing my stories and experiences that people
Mm,
connect with. Again, the storytelling thing. So
mm,
that is the crucial point here, which I focus on. And I often write about the
mm,
moments of my self-doubt or the lessons I learned, my failures, my mistakes, or my personal
mm,
milestones. Like I told you about quitting CA. So
mm,
that and again connecting it with the content creation thing. So I mix that, and
mm.
these posts work all the time because they are real and people see themselves in them. They can connect to it, and
Yeah.
they show vulnerability while offering takeaways that others can apply to their own lives, which can make them
Mm.
which can make it
So
impactful.
in within this Mudrika, there is one thing. Sometimes the people they feel very interact, like when you're talking about content, that maybe my thing is not that interesting. They feel that, like if I put this up, it's just maybe maybe I'm just ranting about something, or like just giving my opinion is not that important, or it's not going to be entertaining. So what do you feel on that, where a person is feeling it's not that interesting to people, they have a self doubt, like this is not worthy of this thing, so I'm not putting in like any personal stories or something. So how what advice you have for such people?
Mm, I think so. Self doubts happen to everyone, and everyone
Hmm.
goes through this phase in their life.
Hmm.
Initially, even I faced the same, but
Hmm.
I just think that you have to start. Whether you are doing
Yeah,
anything,
like you
it's
have to
not just
gather the
about,
courage, like end of the day, even
yeah,
when you did it first time, you have to gather that courage. So
yeah,
I feel
yeah,
that no one else is going to help you. You have to push
yeah.
yourself in that direction. So, and
And
also,
there's
Madhurika,
this
you would have
saying
felt
that,
once you have shared one or two stories like that, then it's a very natural thing. Like you kind of,
hmm,
even when you feel a
hmm,
certain thing or experience, you know, okay, I can write about this a content. You know, like an
yeah.
author. When he sees something interesting in front of him, his back end mein, "Hey, chala, theek hai, what can be a story arc in this or a character or something like that." So, yeah, that is how by doing only it happens actually.
And I think so because every experience is was a beginner once. This is a saying. So
Hmm.
this goes in real, and you just have to start without thinking whether it will work or not work. It's not in your hands. You have to take the initiative and take the first move. Only that
Yes,
matters
yes.
in the longer run. And once you start, once you see that people are resonating with you, and people do, because
Hmm.
you will find audience for everything. Like
Yeah.
there, there is audience for particularly entertainment. There is audience for particularly knowledge. If you want to grab knowledge, we'll go to YouTube. If you want
Hmm.
entertainment, we'll go to Instagram to scroll reels. So there is
Yeah.
audience for everything. So without doubting yourself, you have to just start. Starting is the key. I think so.
That's right. So yeah, I mean, initially, obviously, gather the courage and put it, but it's not also about personal stories. You know, you have to gather courage, just put out something, because even when
Put
you
out
like in terms of
anything.
creating videos, you sometimes feel, "Arey, ye edit, I have to work more on it," or
Hmm.
maybe I'm not prepared. Like you have thought of shooting a certain day, but it's a nay, nay, I'm not prepared. Maybe script or
Hmm.
whatever it is. So that I feel somewhere it's not going to be the best, but then you have to do it, because it's like an actor who's giving auditions. Like if you keep waiting, ki, okay, I'll have the best role ke liye, then it's never going to come, or you'll not be prepared when it
Hmm.
comes, right? So that
Hmm.
practice constantly do it. So it's like you shouldn't overthink, and then ye hai ki like everything. That attitude should not be there, because then you have if you have that, then you'll say, okay, something will connect, I'll keep posting. And Modika is like so fascinating in social media. Like you would have 10 posts, and then one post would be like, it would be, and you can say that this is better than the other, and
Hmm.
one would have like 100,000 impressions, one would have like 1,000
Hmm.
impressions, and you can't explain it yourself, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's just the thing that in the market, like anything could connect at a certain time.
Right, right. So, and if you think that your posts are not working, so you never know when will your post boom, when will your post get boom, because
That's right.
you
That's
never
right.
know about it's all about algorithm, I feel. So keep posting,
Yeah.
keep being consistent at it. So that's what matter for the longer run.
That's right. Yeah, and that's why you can't. This can't be a profession from day one, right? Like it takes time
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
kind of build. It could also not be like, say, it could just be a hobby. Like you like doing it. Why
Hmm.
not? Just continue that, right? Like so.
Even
I
I
think it's like,
started it
yeah,
as a hobby, but
yeah,
eventually I never thought that I would be doing
mm,
freelancing. So I
yeah,
started writing as a hobby only, and eventually I'm doing it
mm,
right now. And in the longer run, even I don't know what I'll do. This is not my niche right now, but
mm,
currently I'm into it because I'm loving it. So as I told you that I'm the person with
mm,
multiple interests, so I keep getting bored easily. Maybe this is a positive or a negative sign, but
mm.
I'm yet exploring, and right now
That's right.
I'm
And
doing
plus,
it.
like if you are freelancing, you're getting so many business skills, right? Which
Mm,
maybe if you're doing your first job also, you won't get those skills. You'll be in a certain domain only, and you're just in that space. So I think you're much at a higher level in terms of like as a working professional than a general. Like if you just do the your first job in something, so I think that is there. So that is worked out good for you, and obviously, I feel yeah, jumping and all that is a negative aspect where you get bored within that easily, but it's something I feel you have to just find out your path and then when which you are young, which will definitely happen for you. Awesome.
Yeah.
So coming to an important aspect within social media is interactions, like I would say of followers interaction. So people have like lives they do, or they do like polls, or they will have like events, maybe a meetup. And also, how do you in actual engagement, when you say na, beyond just the comments or the likes and all those kind of things, like or DMs that are happening, actual interactions, let us cover in this.
Hmm. I think so. The most effective way and the powerful technique that I use is ending my post with a clear and a thought-provoking question. Maybe a simple question,
Hmm.
clear and simple question. Like, for example, if I'm sharing my personal story, then I'll end it with, "Have you ever faced this?" Or "What's your take on this?" Um,
Yeah.
maybe I'll add a PS, a fun PS with at the end of my post. Sometimes it's like ki, PS, if you are reading this at midnight. If I'm posting something in the evening, then I'll post the PS
Hmm.
that if you are reading it in the midnight, then
Hmm.
we are on the same page, and eventually we should fix our sleep schedule. So something fun
Hmm.
and simple. Or maybe I'll
Hmm.
write that if you found it relatable, tag your friends here, tag your friends who need to see
Hmm.
this. So that makes the post
Yeah.
engaging and relatable.
That
That is what I
is that you told me right now, like it will actually feel that you are talking with that particular person, like that one-on-one connect is a that's a great example of how it actually works out. That was very fascinating. Yes, yes, sure.
And I always do this in each and every of my post. So I always
Hmm.
end it with a PS or some CTA, some call to action thing. So people engage, and this is a fun way to do it.
That's right. That's right. Mudrika, also there can be. What do you feel? Within though you're obviously free, it's a free country. You can post, but certain posts I see trends and certain influences where it's just something which is riling up emotions. Negative. And that's why they will get more comments and like interactions. But then that is if you take overall way, it leaves a negativity like once you finish seeing that post in the comments. So what would be your take on it, that this is happening quite a lot within even LinkedIn?
This works on Twitter, I say, because Twitter is the
Yeah.
most opinionated platform, and you
Yeah.
will just find negativity all around there. And people
Yeah.
love negativity on Twitter, I would say. But on
Mm.
LinkedIn, I think so. Most people just appreciate you. Most of them just appreciate your
Mm.
content, whatever you are posting, even your failures, your
Mm.
mistakes, your experiences, life lessons. And most of the time, there's just positivity. So I haven't
Mm.
seen any negative post or comment. Comment I have seen like two, three people are there
Mm.
everywhere where they'll
Mm.
post something negative. But on LinkedIn, I have always seen positive posts
Mm.
and positive comments. People just appreciate your thing, and
Mm.
that is the good thing about LinkedIn, I would say.
That's right. Yeah, I feel also like if your content is continuously that, somewhere you will lose certain amount of followers also, I feel. Or it could be like that is not something where you want to constantly have that strategy, because if you see, I have kind of gone in the back end and done a bit of research and all, like somewhere those people, they face negativity within, what they are creating content. It's not a positive this thing, it's like in a news, suppose you're a journalist, constantly you are talking about negative this thing, which is like it's just selling, but then do you feel satisfaction out of it? Maybe you're earning the money or whatever, getting the attention. So that way you should look at it in that way,
Hmm.
aspect. So because that's where now, like we kind of always are chasing that, okay, this negativity is selling, so let me also get negative, not like maybe this doesn't suit me, this confrontational kind of atmosphere within the post, or the like riling up negative emotions and all that. So that way, yeah. So that is something on a case to case basis. You have to take a call how you have to go about it.
Hmm.
But definitely don't shy away, like we discussed, learn any sensitive if you've done a proper research and you're giving your opinion,
Hmm.
on it. Like let's not get scared of,
Hmm.
like that way you lose my followers a certain,
Hmm.
section. Like you have to look at it wherein a balanced way and a true opinion, because that is always appreciated,
Hmm. Hmm.
that way. And
Right.
that is, yeah, definitely a lot of people in the west, they are doing quite a bit of it, and we should also kind of, that is a positive aspect where we can be more truer of what we feel on sensitive issue also, if we have done a research and have a proper opinion on it.
Right.
Awesome. So yeah, Mudrika, we'll look at, like, so I was talking about the lives, and also like, do you think these also drive, like for example on LinkedIn there is a thing of live audio, I think session or something you do. So that I've heard it. All your followers get a notification about it. So that can bring in a lot of. What do you feel of things like that?
Personally, I haven't went live till now
Hmm.
on LinkedIn,
Okay.
so I don't know. But on Twitter, I've seen people going live, and that
Hmm.
brings a lot of traction and engagement for real. Like they talk
That's it.
one to one. Even even the top comedians like
Hmm.
Samarana and all, they go live and they add everyone, whoever is there, they include on Twitter.
Hmm.
So of course that brings some conversation, that brings some trending news, and
Hmm.
th- they get engagement and traction out of that as well.
That's right. Yeah, for these large level creators, it was be more of a interaction, like a Q&A.
Hmm. Hmm.
When you're just upcoming, I feel have some specific,
Uh,
like topic
Topics
about
or
it or some
hmm.
interaction, because itne people are not going to come and ask the question. So then it shouldn't fall
Hmm.
flat. Like
Hmm.
somewhere, like even I've done a live session where maybe no one came. So it's like you have to just have prepared some content and you talk about it, right? Like
Hmm.
at
Right.
least there is some positive
Some
thing out
topic
of
should
it.
be there. We are going to
Yeah,
discuss about that, or let's talk about this. Yeah.
yeah, that has to be kind of structured. So yeah, it'll definitely. And if we see like the LinkedIn one I talked about, when I have actually done it, it gets, if I say numbers wise, it gets traction. So if you
Hmm.
have a decent amount of followers, then you can kind of explore that, because end of the day that engagement, yeah, and it is some numbers, so it will be positive in a way, I would feel.
I'm gonna try
Awesome.
it now.
Yes, yes, definitely. Awesome. So, Mudika, we look at an aspect about repurposing. Like we look at how we selling the same thing, maybe old wine in a new bottle, when they say, like you have content you have maybe created earlier, right? Like say I have done a live session earlier, right? uh,
Hmm.
and then maybe I look at creating a lot of clippings from it, right? Interesting, which is also, I would say, today is a very common thing which is done in
Hmm.
podcasts and interaction. So same way, like it could be one major, like people make that amazing carousel post, like
Hmm.
explaining a certain thing, on LinkedIn, like you're talking about, okay, how do you increase engagement? And they have like 10 slides. So maybe it can be repurposed in a way, like a different posts on it or something. So some like tips on that, if you could share, Mudrika.
Yeah. I repurposing, I think so. This is the smartest way to maximize the value of your efforts without
Hmm.
without overwhelming your audience with some reputation. So I think
mm,
so. The technique I use is changing the format of the content. For example,
mm,
if I originally wrote a LinkedIn post,
mm,
like if I wrote about a lesson I learned, life lesson I learned, then I
mm,
might turn into a carousel, as you said, or some
mm,
infographic, or uh, recently I started with my YouTube channel, so I will create my LinkedIn content into the YouTube short video. So that helps.
mm,
This is a tip. Then again, you can offer some visual formats, visual insights, making them that makes them feel more engaging. I think so.
mm,
And another strategy I rely is on um, I often ask myself, ki, what changed since I wrote this piece of content? So again,
mm,
if I'm writing like, I started with my LinkedIn journey from 0 followers. So now I have, for example, 10K followers. So I will
mm,
write about that, ki, what changed in this journey, how I began, how I
mm,
started from here and how I reached here. So this is how you repurpose your older content. And
mm.
then again, I think so. This is the great strategy,
That's
repurposing.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, herein if you look at a technical thing that the people, like when you if you are creating content consistently, maintain, like organize your content, like have folders, have like when you posted what, because then you can go back to that, right? Then it's not like constantly new, because you will get burnt out. Like how much can you post? And
Mm,
if you're doing it in a like a professional's way, you have to post at certain times. You're following a calendar, so you will be totally without ideas, and also like you then go back to these things, right? Like, so
mhm,
maintaining that, organizing your things well, your folders, your where I have
mm.
my videos, what everything, it really helps in kind of then repurposing.
And also, I think so. I just I just remembered that I focus on the format of the content. Like earlier, I
Hmm.
used to um, write everything in points, for example. So now I'll focus
Hmm.
on the content format, that how I am focusing on the hooks and how I'm writing it into the paragraphs, which are actually readable,
Hmm.
short 1 2 line paragraphs, and I'll add 2 3 bullet points. So that makes the content concise and clear. And
Hmm.
many people have DM me that your content is very clear and readable. So that makes a big
Hmm.
difference.
Amazing, amazing. So great. So Mudrika, look at some techniques that every we should follow, that every content creator is that block, like we are talking about now, that it'll come to a point where you are feeling a burnout also, and you feel, "Arey, I'm not getting your ideas and all that." So you should have, if you are doing it consistently, and you want to kind of create a name for yourself within that, you look at some ways of countering, when you are in that creative block. So how do you come out of it, or how do you get inspiration?
Okay. So I think so. Creative blocks are very frustrating. And when I get into that, I take a break by watching a movie or maybe reading a book, or
Hmm.
by normally scrolling through Instagram reels, or viewing some other people's comments, or
Hmm.
their posts. So that gives me idea about what can I write on my LinkedIn. So that is the great way, by seeing other
any
people's
any
content.
uh,
And
tools are you using in that, or it's more like the ones you mentioned, like, so for example, like marketers per se, they will look at maybe like Google Trends or some other things that they see ki, okay, we can look at content in this is trending. So you personally, you follow that, or it's very natural, the things that you mentioned?
uh, I can suggest a tool like you can use AI. AI is very helpful in this thing. AI can create the content calendar. Like, for example, you can
Mm.
create Motivation Monday, weekly content calendar.
Yeah.
So now you know that on every Monday you have to post something motivational. So then
That's right.
another thing you can
So
do is
basically,
like,
like you said, that it's like the prompt you can give, like to say a chat GTP, and then
mm,
you get something in front of you. Where I also kind of agree with it at a level where some it's not like you are whatever is given in ChatGPT you're following that. At least in that creative block, sometimes the thing is that nothing is coming in, like at least something is in front of you. So there's a
mm,
framework, there's a template, and then
mm,
you can work around, okay, what do I want within that, which is my own. So that
huh.
way it can work out, like
Yeah,
it will
yeah,
give
you
you an
can
idea,
create.
and you can actually
Mm,
work on it from your
mm,
own like
huh,
level, like what
huh.
is your original thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So the normal thing which everyone follows is like they'll make spreadsheets and they'll make columns and topics format,
Mm,
which everyone does. But apart from that, you can create theme days like motivational
mm,
Mondays or storytelling Saturdays, like that.
mm,
So on every Saturday, you know that you have to post your personal story or experience that you have uh, been through in this week. So
mm,
that helps. And and if I get out of ideas, so I randomly post about the trends, and I check the
mm,
content on Instagram or Twitter, and whichever whatever is trending, I'll
mm,
write a story about that. I'll write my personal opinion or a thought, and then I'll post that.
mm.
So that way it helps.
That's right. Yeah, I think they are quite good ideas, and I feel audience you can look into this, and like that's how you kind of overcome your creative block.
Hmm.
Um, we'll come to some mistakes which you see, like where you feel new content creators, they are overdoing something, or they are following a wrong trend or something like that. So what do you feel there are some common mistakes they are doing which is maybe hampering the quality of the content or their growth on social media?
Mm. The new creators are make doing one thing is like, uh, if I talk about my friends only, then they want
Mm,
to come on social media, but they try to be perfect. So that
mm,
perfection is a mistake, big mistake, I think so, because
mm,
perfection kills your authenticity and consistency. You think that
mm.
once you become perfect, you will come online or you'll post that video, you will post your first LinkedIn post. So that
Yeah.
never happens because nobody is perfect initially, I think
Yeah.
so. And only with the time you get perfect and consistent,
Mm,
you get to learn new things, you discover new things, and
mm,
when I started writing on LinkedIn, I didn't know a single thing, and
mm,
eventually I wrote, and now
mm.
I know that what works and what doesn't work. So I think so they
That's
focus
right.
on being perfect, and that is the biggest myth and the mistake.
That's right. One interesting thing I can tell about this is that when you see the, like, feel like say last 14, 15 years when all these social media platforms only came about, why the people gravitated towards the influencer content, like people just maybe making the videos out of their own home and very raw and basic, and were gravitating towards them, than company content is that unique, that was unperfect, right? Like that was not, that was raw, and they
Mm,
connected with that. There was more relatability within that. So
yeah.
that is what is happening. And everything, if you see, is a cycle. So like when these influencers also became quite big, and they were creating, and then like you see how the social media, like the feed, you used to, if you observe few years back only, you used to always get very popular videos in your feed, right, in terms of the
Mm,
numbers, like say on a
mm,
YouTube.
mm,
Now the way the thing is that the algorithm also is promoting newer content which has lesser
mm,
views, and
mm,
area based also, which you are observing,
right.
because, and this was mentioned by Mark Zuckerberg also in a podcast, that he has made that change in that algorithm, like for example in Instagram or something, where newer is being, because also is a thing now for the platform part of it, person shouldn't become that big also, then is they don't need the platform. Or for example, you need newer talent or the newer this thing to keep, because end of the day Instagram and all these platforms, they make out of the attention that is getting, and then the tie-up that the audience basically, like for example YouTube, obviously there's monetization on the things,
Yeah.
and that thing, yeah. So um, that is an interesting way wherein, if you keep kind of waiting for making, like that, if I have all these things set and I start with the content, then only it'll happen. Like even in, like if I take podcast point of view, definitely you need some kind of content of your own, which like I also created, where you have done something, like at least content you create one on one, like an explainer video, then it creates
Hmm.
confidence to get guests on, right? Like they see
Yeah.
something on your, maybe not major numbers and all, but at least there is some effort gone in, and he has a small kind of an audience and niche audience, and then it kind
Yeah,
of
that shows that
goes
you
along.
are
Yeah.
present. Yeah, even if you are posting anything initially, at least your efforts are being present, and that shows that you are present online. So that builds your presence as well, and yeah, your efforts are being recognized. So you have to start.
That's right. That's right. Another one I would say a mistake would be then you just putting a particular influencer you like, and then you make, like, okay, you identify, okay, this is the kind of content, this is what works, and you make like a checklist, and then you are following something like that yourself. So lack
Hmm.
of authenticity, originality. So you're not yourself. That guy's
Hmm.
already achieved everything with those skills or whatever,
Yeah,
way
people
of creating content,
compare.
and you are like just following, so that's not
Yeah.
going to work for you. So yeah.
Yeah, so Gen Z basically compare with people who are already on their day 100, and uh,
Yeah.
we don't realize that this is your day one. So you should
Yeah.
have one should have to stop comparing with someone's day 100 with your day one. And
Yeah.
another thing I think is that they focus on going viral. Like if the
Mm,
content is not good enough, or like they focus on the content only which can go viral. Like may it can be
mm,
negative as well, I feel. So rather they should focus on building connections and
mm,
building authenticity. So if you are genuine and if you're authentic,
mm.
uh, you will go viral automatically.
Yes, and
So
you should be prepared for the long term thing
hmm,
game in
hmm,
terms of than a short term. So that is a difference wherein, that's why also I feel like a marketer could be working for a bigger brand, but then he has to understand that the brand is already at a certain level, right? In terms
hmm,
of the audience production, how much they can put into the videos. So that same thing is not going to work out where you are just starting off within that,
hmm,
or maybe also the resources you put in a lot of money input to a particular video, that is not going to, that's not how it works, right?
hmm,
You, once you have, it should be a very gradual thing, like when you have a confidence that an audience I have, which I can put in the money in my
hmm,
videos, in an expenditure that goes, so it's like a step by step thing, which I mean, the way advice is like, have a patience and perseverance in it, and like, don't expect from day one. It's everybody's, that journey that you have to look at over a period of time.
hmm. Right.
Awesome. So, Mudrika, we obviously, I think we covered about the content calendar, how you have to organize it, but like certain tips, like certain, so you have created content calendar and you're following it, but then are there certain things that you would feel you learned from it? This was working, this was not working, this can be added in a calendar. So the, like certain things which people get a good idea of how to go about it.
I think so. The people who comment on your posts and engage,
Hmm.
that could be the one thing. Like
Hmm.
if someone has commented, I needed this, or
Hmm.
as I said that I shared a story about freelancing. So people comment that please share the tips on how do you balance your
Hmm.
freelancing journey with your ACCA journey. So that is another thing on which can be included in the content calendar. Like this
Hmm.
content is everywhere. You just have to observe and
Hmm.
and apply it into the action. Like, for
That's
example,
right.
I said in the comments, people say, then again, people reach out in the DMs, so that could be the thing. And if the two things are not there, then you can uh, genuinely apply the content around yourself, like apply the content which is happening around you, like everyday thing.
Hmm.
Um, so I think so. Content is everywhere. You just have to observe and make it into another
That's
content
right.
like that.
That's right. That's right. So I think what I could say for the audience and takeaway, I would feel like your what I've learned is that you can't be too, like your content in terms of like I have to calendar, because there will be time
Hmm.
where maybe a certain post you miss out on a particular day, right? Or you don't have the
Hmm.
time. So
Hmm.
sometimes you get so disheartened at that time, then you like kind of, it's like you're not following it more. Like one mistake is like
Right.
it leads to you not following. So that should not be the case. There will be time, maybe you have planned on certain posts at a time but it didn't happen. You can
Hmm.
go, maybe you can look at doing the post a little bit later, or the one day you have two posts or whatever. You can look at it
Hmm.
like that. So you should look at like say 10-20% things don't happen and still you kind of are still on track and you're following things. Don't
Hmm.
get like too take it to the heart or be disheartened by that. And
Hmm.
also there are things which happen in trend, so that has to be included in your calendar. So you, things which are happening which are being discussed, so then that has to be added. So you have to be have an active role. It's not like at the starting of the month you've created a calendar. What exactly ho raha hai ki, okay, I'll have
Hmm.
these
Hmm.
amount of trending posts only. Maybe
Hmm.
there are more trends on that particular month, right? So you have to cover them, so they
Hmm.
have more trending posts or something. So
Right.
those things can happen. Like you have to remain flexible, and like you could
You
have
have
a
to
few, it's like,
keep
yeah, keep at
updated
it,
with
yeah.
the content.
That's it.
Hmm.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, I mean the things are, that's the same. Coming back, the things are not going to be perfect. You have to accept it and then move on, and then try to like try to execute how much ever you can. That way. Awesome. So, lastly, then, Mudrika, we look at content for a layman, like when they look at success, or even what I won't just say layman, even when you are presenting as a marketer in front of the CEO, it would be that it would be just judge the content on likes, shares, comments, and all that. So, if we are working within this, what are the other things we have to look at, that we are in the right direction? Maybe, okay, this post is not got that many likes, but maybe it has this which makes it a success.
Hmm. I think so. Um, Apart from that, I think so. What matters is how people are sharing it, sharing likes and impressions. Impressions also
Hmm.
matter. And apart from that, I think so. I measure the success of the content by focusing on the engagement. So, how people have engaged on it, that is how I
Hmm.
measure. And apart from that, DMs.
Through that, yeah.
Yeah. Why are
One
DMs? Because
interesting,
if the
that's right.
content really works, then people reach out to you in DMs as well. So when
Hmm.
that happens, that is how you know that okay, this is working.
That's right. One interesting thing I also discovered in this, and how you have to, judge the success. So, like on social media, like say if I'm working for a brand, so I look at even website traffic. So if I'm having certain social media posts, what is the website traffic coming in now? Like if you don't really go deep, you can say, okay, I got, let's say, 1,000 visits from this post, okay, and that's still when, okay, it's a success. What is this number enough? But then if I go deeper, if there are certain posts which people are coming on a website and they are staying for more time on the site, right, or they are seeing certain content which I would feel like reading a blog or something like that, where they are staying more, that gives us that, yeah, I'm getting an quality audience which will then maybe convert, right? So that is an insight that I get. So like the trick is that you have to maybe your goals have to be clear, and also get deeper in the analytics part of it, right? Like of your content. So kind of study things, what all contributes, like for example, a content creator who is, say, a business coach, he has to look at maybe, and he's selling a particular course, so which particular posts are actually leading to the sales of the course wherever it is, right? Like there are today technologies where you can see all these on the back end and all that, so you can look at that. So various things, metrics we are looking at, and that's why we when we look at marketing, analytics is kind of very important today, right? Like
Hmm.
where you are judging you're on the right track, and the decisions are being based on data, right? Like
Hmm.
which then would lead to more kind of success when you look at that.
Hmm. Right.
I had a great time. It was a great discussion here with you, Mudrika, on different aspects of LinkedIn content. How creating content on LinkedIn, not only for businesses but creators who have their own. They could be solopreneurs or freelancers. It's so effective to get a captive audience on LinkedIn, and run your particular whatever services or products you're selling. So it's become so important, like creating a personal brand, and so many great insights I think you shared on the same, and very awesome journey that you're also having as a upcoming LinkedIn influencer. And you can share the intricacies which obviously people really can learn quite a bit from this particular podcast. So awesome. So how is your experience been here on this particular my podcast?
So, to be honest, I was scared because this was my uh, technically first podcast, and
Okay.
but I have learned a lot from you as well. I've got new insights, and I can create another story. How did I? How was my experience on the first podcast for
That's
LinkedIn
right.
as well? So
That's the thing, as
thank
a
you for.
creative person, you're always switched on, where you from everything, where is the content coming. So yeah, that is also an interesting aspect where that you are sharing. Yeah.
So thank you so much for having me here. Like it will help me grow only as an individual and uh, learn a lot from you as well. So thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Mudika. So just to wrap up, just one thing would be there, that what do you feel of like the creator economy, right? Like how is, like we see today that now even products with a certain amount of following, companies which are started, products which are started by content creators are getting more takers than even like established companies. And also, how do you feel this creator economy is going to shape? What is your feeling like, because you are already kind of in it? Over the next few years, how is it going to be for content creators, marketing, brands, and all that in general?
I think so. There are many new creators who are joining in online every single day, and it's gonna boom in the next 3 4 years for sure. Like everything is already turning digitalized. Like companies have turned their marketing online, and
Mm,
they have started building their personal branding. So I think so personal branding is going to boom in 25, 26, and 2027 because one thing I have realized is that the brands which are growing the most are the ones whose founders have already their personal brands. So,
mm,
so that is going to boom, and creators creators are making their presence online because of course that is what actually personal branding is. So
mm,
if you are a creator already and if you are starting a business or if you are planning to do anything like entrepreneurial in future, then
mm.
that is that is the cherry on the cake. So the creators economy has a completely big impact, and as AI has come into the picture as well, so the things are becoming easier, I feel.
Yep.
uh, with AI you can easily write, using not only just chat gpt, but there are more to it, like perplexity and claude and humanize.
Same
So
like for not only the like ideas based, like even execution. When you look at
mhm,
editing related things
yeah,
in AI and your pictures and everything, so creating content is like getting easier by the day. If you say content, so it's more about like just standing out, like where
yeah.
the challenge
And
would be
I
there.
feel everyone
Yeah,
should start with it. Even if you haven't started it yet, everyone should start with content creation and building your presence online, at least. Because if you are planning
that's
to start with any business, so that would be very grateful because it has already built your
hmm,
authenticity and it has shown your credibility. So that makes a big difference. And yeah. And even if we talk about podcasts, like earlier podcasts were face to face, but now there are online applications where you can record and connect with people. So everything thing is turning digitalized, and which is which is
that's it.
gonna.
Yeah, I think in podcast, one thing, like when you look at the businesses and all, maybe if people who have their own business or like they are just starting off, like podcast, I feel there is a little bit easier in terms of the content creation process, where it could be through a conversation only you can do it. So compared to maybe long explainer videos or something. And so getting the guests on, okay, that is one challenge that you have to have address and have a strategy in that. But creating content would be comparatively easier. That's why I feel podcasts now, they are getting so much traction. There are podcasts now in various domains. It could be just entertainment, or it could be a very niche thing that they are talking about. But there is a staying power because, as I said, the consumption is just increasing. We feel in the big cities that there is it's like saturating, but that's not the case, because when you look at tier 1, 2, and 3, the internet is just getting, I mean, the reach is just increasing, and the consumption is also increasing from these centers. So this will just keep growing. It's not, sometimes in big cities you feel there's a saturation, but that is not the case. There your audience can be more in within India
Right.
interiors, and now international as well, because of you can translate or dub your videos, and there's so many features today, so you can even get a more of an international audience. So I mean, the possibilities are endless now, and it's the best time to kind of get into it and like improve your skills in it.
Yeah, totally. And now that last year there was also this creators award. So this has this thing has started now, so it will have endless opportunities in future, of course.
That's right. Awesome. So I think we'll wrap up. Thanks a lot, Mudrika, for your time. I appreciate you taking out your valuable time and giving great insights to the audience. And to the audience, the MI podcast is on all the major podcast networks. We are on YouTube as Modern Intelligence. So please go out there, give us a subscribe. It helps us in our reach. So until the next time, I'll see you all. Everybody, take care. See you.
Thank you.